Okay. So I actually reviewed part 1, and I noticed that some of the sound was muffled during the listening activity because I saw a bug next to me. There was a bug, and I was trying to kill it. I was trying to kill it without making too much noise, but I think my microphone brushed against my shirt as I was trying to kill the bug. So I'm so sorry that the sound was messed up, and I hope it was better the second time around. But another comment, I also noticed that I mispronounced the word longevity. I said longevity. So that was a mistake. It should be longevity. So Longevity. Longevity. So that means a long life. So anyway, okay, sorry about those two things. Okay, so now let's take a look at the story, and you can check your answers as I play the audio. Oh, that's a problem. Let me try that again.
Page 123, Exercise 3A.
Kathy and Tan are talking about wedding customs. Kathy is invited to a Vietnamese wedding, and she is surprised that the bride and groom are not registered for gifts at any stores. In contrast, Tan is surprised by the American tradition of throwing rice at the bride and groom. Next, they talk about clothes. Tan says a Vietnamese bride wears a red dress because the color red symbolizes good fortune. Then Kathy asks why she was invited only to the wedding reception, not the ceremony. Tan explains that traditionally the ceremony is only for the family. The couple's friends and acquaintances are invited to the evening reception. In fact, Tan says the evening party will include 7 or 8 courses of food. Kathy says she is looking forward to the wedding.
Okay. And I just noticed that in the listening from exercise 2A and 2B, they pronounced Tan's name as Than, but I think that was wrong. I believe in the Vietnamese language, the TH does not sound like the American TH, like Thursday or therefore, but it's an aspirated T, like T. So Tan. I think that's the correct way to pronounce it, like this activity. The man in this activity pronounced it correctly, I believe. But anyway, I have a couple of follow-up questions. So let me ask you, why can't Tan go to the wedding? So if you remember from the listening activity in 2A and B, he mentioned why he can't go to the wedding. So why can't Tan go to the wedding? Okay, so you could say he has to go to his nephew's graduation party. He has to go to his nephew's graduation party. Or you could say his nephew is having a graduation party. Okay, and then one more question. What is the difference between Vietnamese and American wedding ceremonies? What is the difference between Vietnamese and American wedding ceremonies? Okay, so we could say that in American weddings, people are invited to both the wedding ceremony and reception. As you know, when we are invited to a wedding in America, it usually includes both the ceremony and the reception. It's part of the the whole event. So guests are invited to both parts of the wedding. But in Vietnamese weddings, it seems that the ceremony is only for the family and the reception is for the friends and acquaintances. By the way, the word acquaintances, as you can see here, are not close friends, but they are just people that you know to some degree. Not very close relationships, of course, as I mentioned, but you interact with them somewhat regularly. Maybe they are co-workers, or maybe they have some kind of significant role in your life, but they're not a close friend. So that's it for this activity, and we are going to go ahead and look at a worksheet here. Okay, so let's look at exercise A. Okay, complete the sentences. So we can see number 1, throwing rice at a wedding is an American tradition. Okay, throwing rice at a wedding is an American tradition. Okay? But just like Kathy mentioned in the listening activity, it's an old tradition, so I don't think many people do this anymore. I haven't seen this recently. So some people might do it because the old stuff is becoming popular again, but I haven't personally seen it. Okay, and then you can go ahead and complete numbers 2 through 6. And actually, I also want you to go ahead and do exercise B as well. So after you complete exercise A, also complete exercise B. But this time you don't have to use the words from A in B. Just look at the words in the box for letter B. And after you complete the sentences, circle true or false. Okay? And if the sentences are false, then I want you to make them true. Okay? So go ahead and pause the video and continue when you're finished. Okay, so let's take a look at number 2. The color red, and we have to say symbolizes, oh, the S is already here. Okay, so the color red symbolizes good luck in Vietnam, okay, or good fortune. So luck and fortune are the same thing. And then number 3, the wedding couple doesn't always invite acquaintances. And again, the S is already there, so I'm going to move it. The wedding couple doesn't always invite acquaintances to the ceremony. Okay, and then number 4, after a wedding ceremony, there is usually a reception. And the N is here already, so I'm going to stop here. And then number 5, the dinner sometimes has several courses. And the S is here, so several courses. And a course is like a certain part of the dinner, like appetizer, the main course, dessert. Okay, and then number 6, I am looking forward to my sister's wedding next year. Okay, all right, so let's move on to exercise B. Let's take a look at the question here. What do you know about wedding customs in Vietnam? Okay, so number 1, the guests throw rice at the newly married couple. Okay, and this is false. Okay, so if we make it true, we can say, the guests throw rice at the newly married couple in American weddings, or at American weddings. Okay, and of course you can also say the guests don't throw rice at the newly married couple. Okay, or you can just make a totally different sentence about rice, and you can say, people eat red sticky rice in Vietnam, or in Vietnamese weddings. Okay, number 2, the color red symbolizes good fortune. Okay, and this is true. True. And then number 3, traditionally, only family members are invited to the wedding ceremony. And this is also true. Okay? And let me ask a question from the listening. Where does the couple hold the ceremony? Where does the couple hold the ceremony? Or I can also ask, where is the ceremony held? And that is passive voice, if you remember. So where is the ceremony held? So we can say the ceremony is held at the bride's home. The ceremony is held at the bride's home. Okay, and then number 4, the party usually includes a dinner with 4 courses. Okay, and the answer is, or this sentence is false. The sentence is false. So if you remember from the listening, the party usually includes a dinner with 7 or 8 courses. 7 or 8 courses. Okay, and then number 5, it is a tradition that guests give money to the bride and groom. And this is true. They give money in an envelope. So let me ask another question. What is another difference in how gifts are received in American and Vietnamese weddings? What is the difference in how gifts are received in American and Vietnamese weddings? Okay, so answer that question. Okay, so in American weddings, people leave gifts at a gift table. I don't think they mentioned this in the listening activity, but if you remember the picture, you could see the gifts on a table. So usually when you arrive at an American wedding, you bring your gift and then you drop it off when you sign your name in the guest book. So when you arrive, you sign your name in the guest book and you usually hand the gift to someone who is at the guest table. Or you can place it on a table or in an area where you can see the gifts. But in Vietnamese weddings, it seems like the bride and groom collect the envelopes as they move from table to table, greeting their guests. So according to the listening activity, the bride and groom directly collect the cash envelopes. Okay, and then let's look at number 6. The bride and groom are usually registered for gifts at a store. Okay, and this is false. Okay, this is not for Vietnamese weddings, but for American weddings. So you could say the bride and groom are usually registered for gifts at a store for American weddings. Okay. All right. Now I want you to just look at this chart briefly. We're not going to do this activity, but I do want you to take a look at these categories of wedding customs. So location of ceremony, reception, food courses, something that symbolizes good fortune, and gifts. So think about these categories as we do the next activity. So if you look at this student interview, now of course we cannot do an interview format, but I just want you to think about these questions based on those categories we saw here. And I want you to answer these questions about your own country. So don't worry about these categories here. I just want you to answer in complete sentences. But if the answer is no, then instead of just saying no, they don't, I want you to describe what they do in your country. So, for example, Hian, do brides and grooms in your country register for gifts? So instead of saying, no, they don't, and stopping here, you can say, no, they don't. In my country, brides and grooms collect cash envelopes. Okay, so you can include what they actually do. Okay, and of course you don't have to do this part. What country are you from? Because this is all about your own country. Okay, so yeah, so let's try number 2 together. You could say, in my country, people don't invite acquaintances to the ceremony. It's only for close family members, or something like that. So I want you to go ahead and complete these sentences, and we can't go over them together because I'm sure there are many differences depending on what country you're from. So this is basically what you're going to be doing. Okay, brides and grooms in my country, or you can say, in my country, brides and grooms do not register for gifts. They collect cash envelopes. Okay, so you can go ahead and pause the video and continue this activity. And when you're finished, you can move on to part 3. Okay, part 3.